infinite information. And
right.
what I like to say is, think of what physics has taught us about you can see things as a particle or you can see them as a wave. As a particle, Joe, you're Joe, and Chet, you're Chet, and I'm Bill, and we're completely different. I like to play golf. You may like to play tennis. You may not like to play sports at all. We're completely different human beings. But as part of a wave, we share a consciousness in which there's really no Joe, there's no Chet, and there's no Bill. There just is.
There's
and
only one
level,
thing. Yeah.
There's only one awareness. And
yes.
we go in and out of that at will. Unfortunately, the majority of human beings never go into it, and they live their lives what I would call very much on the surface of just what they can touch and feel and use with the five senses. But when you're able to be
well, go ahead. I was going to say.
Well, I was just going to finish.
Okay, sure.
Well, go ahead.
No,
okay.
Finish that thought because I
was
have
just
something.
To say, when we're able to take our awareness and come into our individuality, it's sort of pure bliss. You have the best of both worlds. You are, in fact, your higher self enjoying your particular human experience. And
yes.
when you do that, it becomes more difficult to be a bad person, to do bad things.
Hopefully.
Because you're intimately, well, it's not even hopefully, because it's like, well, I mean, there's always sickness and aberrations, but it's really literally like when you hit another person, it's like you're hitting yourself. It's like, would you cut off your own foot? I mean, why would you steal from yourself?
Yes.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I got to tell you, guys, I had this experience. I work for I'm a consultant with the World Assembly of Youth, so all we do is go around the world and basically present these new forms of leadership. I presented it to them, and somehow they just snapped it up and said, okay, that sounds great. So we're teaching love, insight, vision, connectedness, the implementation of feminine principles as a part of the leadership structure. So we're teaching an entire generation of people to embrace this as a leadership structure. Now, we were invited to the Sudan. I was in the Sudan last year, and, the Sudan is a pretty hot place. They just finished their war with South Sudan. They still had issues with Darfur. They're on the United States enemies list, so they looked at me and said, this guy's from the States. So they brought out a handler, to come in and to dismiss anything that I was going to say before I even did my presentation. They said, well, he's from the States. We love him, but we know he's from the States, so we have to kind of discount him, and this is why we have to discount him, blah, blah, blah. Little did he know that when I knew that that I was going to the conference, this was at the University of Khartoum, I basically sent out a message to all of the students that were coming to the conference, and they Facebooked me. They became my Facebook friends. Then all of a sudden, we were having these discussions weeks before I even got there. And you know what we were talking about? We weren't talking about Islam. We weren't talking about Christianity. We weren't talking about the Sudan or the United States or the axis of power and terrorism. We weren't talking about anything like that. The only thing we were talking about was spirituality and how we can become our greatest self by tapping into that collective energy. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. These are students. These are 18 to 32-year-old students. That's all they wanted to talk about. So they got up, they sat there in the class, they listened to the guy, his name was Hussein. He had to kind of dismiss me. They looked at him, they gave him a nice, polite, kind of, okay, thank you. And then all of a sudden, I got up and I said, this isn't about anything about governments or anything. This is about who we are going to be in the next phase of our existence. Group just went crazy. It happens all over the world simply because of this subject. And it was so amazing how I didn't stumble into it, because I knew that based around what I was seeing, that there seemed to be a portal where people were open to this kind of discussion, particularly young people. And so what's happening, that was another part. I include that in the book about how you start to see this kind of emergence of a collective consciousness about how we're going to be. And you can't sit back and measure it and say, oh, well, that's just coincidence. It's kind of you have to feel it and to know it and then experience it. And all I do is record it and write it down and say, this is what's happening. So there is this collective consciousness that we're all starting to plug into, and I would submit to you that on the 21st, and I don't know how you feel about this, Bill, but I said this earlier, that a veil will be lifted at that particular time that will allow more of us to be able to tap into that space. And that's my projection.
Sure. I agree with you 98%. The only thing where I'm not in agreement is you don't actually have to wait till December 21st.
Right. Yes,
From the
agreed.
point of view of the cycle,
yes.
I tell people, think of a single day and compare it to 26,000 years. Unless you're looking at the sun itself, the second before the sun sets and the second after the sun sets, it's not very different. And that's true with this cycle. We're in the final second. And it's been here, if you think of it in terms of a day, we've been in the last 10 minutes for our entire lives. And this cycle has already started. The cycle that's ending has already ended, so to speak.
You're right.
The cycle is already with us. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing in your own work. And I have to tell you, it's very encouraging having you on this call because I've been looking at it much more at the level of the geopolitics and the people that are still in power. And I know that the people that are still in power are basically fossils. Just because they have the power doesn't mean they have the real power. Even in China, I have contacts all over the world. There are new openings. I've actually been asked to address a conference sponsored by the Chinese government on eco-sustainability, which I'm boggled that they would authorize such a conference.
Oh, no.
And it's like even the most sort of strict totalitarian-like regimes are somehow becoming aware that the people that they're governing need a little bit of hope because it's not working anymore. The old ways are not working. The top-down is not working. And I know we have a few, still semi-horrific situations like North Korea, et cetera, where, they're really holding fast. But that's almost a sign of how quickly it's going to crumble because the harder someone holds on to something, the more in danger it is of breaking. And I think that these old regimes are on their way out, and even in our own country, I think we're going to see some radical changes even in our political system in the next 10 to 20 years. But that's my point. We are talking about years, not days. It's not that December 21st is going to come and everything's going to be different the next day.
Sure,
it will be completely different for very sensitive, highly evolved beings that are aware of these changes. And I don't count myself as one of these beings. I'm pretty much a normal guy. If you hit me, I'll know that you hit me. But, if some energetic change happens, I'm not necessarily going to detect it. I have worked with people who are empaths and who are very sensitive to energy. And I think those people are definitely, what they're calling the indigo children and some of these other
what do you make? You make this, What do you make of that?
Are going to wake up and say, hey, things have really changed.
Yeah.
But for the majority of people, 99.9%, they're going to wake up on December 22nd and say, whew, glad we're here. The Mayans are wrong. The Mayans never going to blow up anyway, and they're going to go on with their lives. What we're hoping is that at least 10 or 20 million will participate in some of the events that are being organized. I know Barbara Marks Hubbard, you can go to birth2012.com and some other websites.
Yeah, there's a huge event going on here in Denver.
You've got events
where's the event?
Los Angeles and Teotihuacan.
Okay.
In Denver, there's a 3-day prayer and fast going on from the 20th through the 22nd, and you're talking about people that you would not, it's easy for people of the old school to sit back and say, oh, it's a bunch of New Thought hippies and the tofu wearing Birkenstock wearing
these are
guys.
Professionals. A lot of these people are very, very successful people.
Exactly. That's
running
what we're
corporations.
Yes.
Some of them are retired people because it does take time to do some of these things. But they're people that have sort of lived lives of meaning and purpose and that care about the legacy they're going to leave to their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and want to make a difference. And we're now starting to connect these groups. And what Barbara Marks Hubbard is all about is what she calls Day One of New Earth is December 22nd, 2012. Happens to be her 83rd birthday. Coincidence? Maybe not. She's been talking about the evolution of what she calls universal humans for 50 years.
Yes.
I was actually the person that explained to her the nature of the Mayan calendar. He says, this is perfect. This is just about the time frame I've been thinking. Let's use the Mayan calendar as the end of this cycle. And then when we got into the science behind it, that there actually are unique galactic alignments happening on this very day, December 21st, and that it actually does represent a complete rotation of the wobble in the axis of the Earth.
Yes.
Why not use December 22nd, 2012 as the first day of a new era? It's not a new century. It's not a new millennium. It's a new 26,000-year cycle. This is a big deal. And so we're trying to bring attention in a positive way that this is an important date. It is the beginning of something new, but it's not necessarily something that is, visible to the majority of people, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Hollywood films or calamities of any kind. I mean, there could be a minor earthquake or volcano going off. We have that happen almost every day, but it's not a sign of the end of the world.
And I want to encourage also listeners when they think about this. What I'm finding is that there have been people who've been calling and said, okay, so what should I do now in this next phase? And I say everything that you didn't or wouldn't do before. That it's now an opportunity. It's this window of opportunity that opens up possibilities that we used to sit back and say, well, people kind of look at me like I'm funny and, in these strange ways, and it won't be things that they didn't think would be embraced. My belief, based around all the trends leading to this particular direction, is that those possibilities of creating these environments where love and connectedness and those kinds of things that people would be embarrassed about before, now they can step into those spaces. Because I know a lot of people are thinking, well, what do I do? How do I behave? What's my next step in this next phase, if there is going to be a next phase? And I can constantly tell them all the things you've been thinking about because you're asking the question that you were afraid of or embarrassed to think about or to do even before. This is that time.
I totally agree with you, Chet. And I think it's about, if you had to sum it, be bold, be courageous, be kind, be good. Don't be afraid to be good. I mean,
well, guys,
I don't want to be a sucker. Go ahead, Joe. You got it.
Sorry,
guys, we're just about getting ready to the end. Chet, why don't you go ahead and mention where to get your book and your website, and then Bill, respectively, do the same, and we'll.
Okay.
Very
Chet,
good.
Go ahead.
Yes, you can find me at leadtheshift.com. It's part of a project that we were working on. The book will not be out until in January, but it is. You can hear audio clips, versions, if you will, of the book at leadtheshift.com. Again, that's www.leadtheshift.com, and I would love for everyone to pick up on the energy that we're sending out.
Good deal. And Bill, go ahead.
My novel is The 12, 12, the number 12, thebook.com, also tappingthesourcemovie.com, goldenmotorcyclegang.com. And I encourage people to go out and share a copy of The 12, particularly with people who are skeptical. My whole point is I'm trying to reach people who don't necessarily already believe that these ideas are real. I'm trying to reach the people who are very conservative, very scared about the future, and are looking for a way to see the future in a more positive way that does not challenge their current beliefs. And I do hope that people will start enlarging on their beliefs, but I'm not here to tell you that the way you're living is wrong. I'm here to tell you there is more to it, and you can improve your own life while also making a positive contribution to the world.
Well, guys, you've been excellent guests. Have to run across you again at some future time. But you certainly have been good fellows. And I guess we better bid you both a good night, and then I'll make a couple mentions about the next show, and then we'll steal off into the night. But I sure have enjoyed having you both.
It's my pleasure.
I enjoyed being on your show. You're a great host, and anytime you want me back, just give me a call.
Yeah,
well,
same here.
Okay, Chet. Well, and you too, Bill. I appreciate that. And well, good night, fellas. And I guess I better once again mention that next week on this Epic Voyagers show, Dr. Laura Tagg will be the host, and the guest will be Constantina Vasilantis. And I hope that's close, Constantina. And she will discuss energy and Reiki. She's a Reiki master, and I'm sure she'll have a lot of interesting things to say. And on my own show tomorrow night, the Kevin Cook Show at the same 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a ghost special, and the lead show is going to be the Ghosts of Gettysburg, and we're going to have also some people from Granbury, Texas, that have a ghost tour. So a little ghost special. So I've enjoyed this show, and it's good to have a little positivism, and it's also very very well detailed positivism. At any rate, you all have a good evening, and I enjoyed being with you.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Please join us again next Monday evening for Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council's Epic Voyages. I'm Roger Peacock for Epic. Until next time.